Discover the heartwarming moment when a single dad CEO transforms a young woman's life over coffee. Jack slid the steaming cup across the counter as the bell over the door jingled again, letting in a swirl of crisp autumn air that seemed to dance with the fallen leaves outside. It was another busy morning at Hilltop Cafe, the heart of their small town. Jack, a dedicated single dad, ran the cafe with love and grit, all while raising his bright but struggling teenage daughter, Lily. Every day felt like a tightrope walk, balancing orders and laughter with the sobering reality of bills that never seemed to stop piling up. As he handed a coffee to his regular, a friendly lady whose name he had barely remembered, his gaze traveled to Mia, a 20-something woman sitting alone. She had tired eyes that spoke of sleepless nights and heavy burdens. Jack's heart tightened at the sight. It was all too familiar. Their eyes met, and in that moment of raw connection, he felt her unspoken desperation. "What will I do?" He imagined her asking, echoing a question he himself felt pulse in his chest every day. Jack was no stranger to struggle. He had built Hilltop from the ground up, fueled by love for Lily and a desperate need to give her a brighter future. "Can I get you refills?" He approached her table while trying to ignore the way her woes tugged at his heartstrings. They began talking over coffee, and she shared how she lost her job and faced eviction. He felt her pain deep down, a twisted knot forming in his stomach. She fought tears, he fought to keep his facade strong, that in a moment driven by empathy and sparked by the determination that guided him through thick and thin. Jack offered her a job at the cafe. "It's not a handout," he warned gently, "you'll have to roll up your sleeves." The hint of a smile danced on her lips, but Jack couldn't shake the worry that maybe he was simply dragging them both into deeper waters. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Mia slipped into the rhythm of the cafe, she brought something magical with her, a belief that they could tackle their troubles together. Lily started to peek out from the shadows of self-doubt. Inspired by Mia's tenacity, she began helping too, stirring up camaraderie that blended hope in every cup of coffee they served. Yet, challenges loomed like dark clouds overhead. Whispers from disapproving locals gnawed at Jack's resolve, and just when it seemed they were gaining momentum, a confrontation rattled him to his core. Jack faced a familiar face who questioned his parenting and the cafe's direction. Jack felt the weight of the world pressing down. Was he chasing his dreams through Mia, leaving Lily to navigate her insecurities alone? In a vulnerable moment, he and Mia shared their fears, revealing wounds and the relentless worry that clawed at their hearts. Suddenly, he saw in her a reflection of what it meant to rise above hardship and fight for a better future. As their project took shape, it became clear, Jack, Lily, and Mia were standing at a turning point. Would they fall victim to their fears, or could they truly break free of the burdens holding them back? A storm brewed on the horizon, and as the community's support hung in the balance, Jack, with Lily by his side, felt the pulse of excitement in the air. This journey could change everything. But would they be brave enough to face it head-on, or would their dreams steam away like forgotten coffee? The morning light streamed through the windows of Hilltop Cafe, casting a warm glow on the rustic wooden tables. Jack felt the energy shift. Mia had been with them for a few weeks now, and each day seemed brighter. They were finding their rhythm, a melody played out in the clinking of cups and the soft hum of friendly chatter, yet, Jack could sense the tension that swirled just beneath the surface. The whispering tongues of discontent from the townsfolk didn't just fade away, no matter how much they worked to stand their ground. He caught snippets of conversations by the counter, murmurs that made the color drain from his cheeks. Is he really going to keep that girl on, after everything? What kind of influence is she? He took a breath, trying to shake off the dagger-like thoughts as he focused on the task at hand. Lily had become more involved at the cafe, and it filled Jack with pride to see her stepping outside her comfort zone. She and Mia had developed a friendship fraught with unspoken understanding. The two of them often laughed together, their laughter lifting the weight that Jack had carried for far too long. Just yesterday, Lily had successfully served a table of regulars without flinching, a small victory he cherished. "Hey, Jack." Mia's voice cut through his thoughts. She was standing by the espresso machine, a cascade of foam spilling over the cup as she attempted to make her signature latte art. "Look at this." He stepped over, tilting his head to assess her masterpiece. A heart, albeit slightly lopsided, floated on top of the frothy coffee. "You've got talent, you know." He grinned, then remembered the challenges they faced. "But how about a few practice runs before we start a coffee art competition?" She chuckled, shaking her head. "I've got to impress them, though. Especially those picky regulars." The two shared a moment of laughter, but as joy flared, so did their shared burdens. The door swung open, and a familiar voice broke through the atmosphere like a clap of thunder. Margaret, the town's most vocal critic, stormed in. Her eyes narrowed as they fell on Mia. The tension shifted like a storm rolling in. "You're still here?" Margaret asked, crossing her arms with disdain. "You think you belong in this cafe?" Jack felt a chill run down his spine. "Margaret, let us keep it civil." His voice, steady and firm, deflected the oncoming storm. Mia stood tall, though doubt flickered in her eyes. "I'm here to work hard and help out. Like everyone else, I'm just trying to find my place." Her words hung in the air, brave yet fragile. "I'm not sure this town is ready for someone like you," Margaret snapped, her voice dripping with condescension. Jack stepped closer, channeling every ounce of determination within him. "Mia's part of this cafe now. She helps us daily, and she's earned her spot here more than anyone you care to mention." The tension was palpable. Lily stepped beside Jack, her hands trembling slightly. "You don't know her," she piped up, her voice steady, "but she's fighting just like a lot of us are. We can't let fear dictate who belongs here." Margaret's eyes flared with anger at the unexpected challenge from Lily. Jack felt the air grow heavy. Would their little triumphs melt away under the weight of such vicious doubt? Mia caught Jack's gaze, and there was something fierce in her eyes. It ignited something in him, a recognition of their shared struggle. "What did you say, Mia?" Jack asked, a thought sparking in his mind. "What if we hold an event? An open house? Show them what we've built here together. Everyone's welcome." Jack's heart raced. It was bold, crazy even, but if they could invite the community together, perhaps they could change minds, maybe even hearts. "An open house, huh?" Jack said, feeling the possibilities enveloping him. "What if?" But before he could finish, the bell above the door jingled again, and an unexpected visitor walked in, one they never saw coming. Would this person be the unexpected ally they needed, or was it just another wave threatening to knock them down? As the bell chimed, the atmosphere in Hilltop Cafe shifted dramatically. All eyes turned to the door. In walked a tall man with salt and pepper hair, his appearance polished yet unassuming. He wore a navy blue blazer over a simple white tee, and his piercing blue eyes scanned the room with a curious intensity. Jack felt an odd blend of hope and apprehension stir within him. "Can I help you?" Jack asked, trying to maintain a welcoming tone despite the nerves twisting in his stomach. The man smiled warmly, stepping fully into the cafe. "I'm Thomas. I just moved back here after a long time away. I used to visit this place back in the day." His gaze flickered over to Mia and then back to Jack. "I heard there might be some interesting changes happening, and I wanted to see for myself." Lily leaned forward, excitement brewing. "We're planning an open house. You should check it out. There will be lots of local talent showcasing their skills." "What kind of talent?" Thomas asked, genuinely intrigued. "Well," Mia interjected, glancing around nervously, "we're inviting people to share their stories and skills, music, crafts, food. Everyone is welcome, no matter their past." Jack noticed how Thomas's expression shifted, a flicker of interest dancing in his eyes. "That sounds like an admirable goal," he said, his voice warm. "It's easy to forget how a place like this can bring people together." Mia stepped forward, drawing strength from an unseen source. "If you're looking for a community, we want to help create that. Hilltop Cafe is more than just coffee, it's about connection." A small pause settled over the group, the tension easing slightly. Thomas rubbed his chin, thoughtful. "How can I help?" Jack exchanged glances with Lily and Mia, a ripple of hope passing between them. "Maybe you could be a guest speaker. Share your story. Or you could help organize things." Lily chimed in enthusiastically, her previous nervousness dissipating. Thomas chuckled softly, a light in his eyes. "I would love to help. I actually run a nonprofit focusing on community development. I can bring resources and contacts to help make this event a success." Jack felt his heart lift at the possibilities. Could this be the turning point they needed? Mia smiled brightly, her confidence seemingly renewed. "That would be amazing. We could really use someone with your experience." As Thomas listened to their ideas, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just a chance encounter. It felt serendipitous, as if the universe had conspired to put them on this path. "Why don't we all sit down?" Thomas suggested. "I want to hear more about your vision." They pulled together at one of the cafe's wooden tables, the air filled with a renewed sense of purpose and camaraderie. Jack's heart raced, and for the first time in a long while, he could envision the open house as a beacon to bridge the town's divides. But as they began to share their ideas, another familiar figure entered the cafe. This time, it was someone whose face sent a bolt of uncertainty through Jack. His heart sank as he caught sight of the newcomer, a figure from his past he thought he had managed to leave behind. Would this person bring more complications, tearing at their fragile resolve, or might they inspire unexpected change? The door swung open, and Jack's breath hitched. Standing there, framed by the sunlight, was Angela, a name and face that etched pain into his memory. Dressed in a crisp yellow sundress, her vibrant figure starkly contrasted with the tense atmosphere that cloaked the cafe. She hadn't noticed him yet, her focus drawn to the cozy scene unfolding inside. "Jack," Mia whispered, her voice barely breaking the silence. She must have seen the way his face paled, the joy of the moment clouding over just as quickly as it had risen. "Yeah, it's her," he replied, trying to maintain his composure. "I wasn't expecting this. Do you want to talk to her?" Lily asked, her eyes darting between Jack and the newcomer, clearly sensing the history hanging in the air. "No," Jack said, shaking his head. He didn't want to drag their hopeful energy into troubled waters. Not now, not when everything seemed to be shifting in their favor. But his heart wouldn't stop pounding as he struggled to focus on Thomas's welcoming smile and enthusiastic conversation. Angela spotted them and smiled, a radiant warmth that made the cafe glow. It was genuine, yet it felt like a sharp reminder of all that had been lost. As she wove her way through the tables, her cheerful demeanor didn't seem to fit the weight in Jack's chest. "Is this seat taken?" she asked, gesturing to the empty chair beside Thomas. No," Thomas replied, caught a bit off guard by her vibrant charm. "Please, join us." As she settled in, Jack felt like a spectator at a circus, juggling 1,000 feelings that all seemed to collide at once. Angela greeted everyone as if they were old friends, laughter spilling from her lips like coffee from a pot tipped too far. Jack couldn't help but notice how, in that moment, she filled the room with light. It hurt. "What have you guys been up to?" she asked, oblivious to Jack's internal struggle. "I haven't been around much, but I hear there's something exciting planned for Hilltop Cafe." Jack glanced at Mia, who was watching the interaction intently. She pursed her lips thoughtfully, probably sensing the same tension. It felt like a written script, an awkward familiarity that was both comforting and horrifying. He wondered if she had any idea what memories lay simmering beneath his silence. "Well," Lily jumped in, eager to steer the conversation. We're organizing an open house to showcase local talent. It's about community, and everyone's welcome, even those with a messy history. Angela's eyes sparkled, but Jack felt her gaze dart toward him before settling on Thomas. That sounds amazing. It's great you're giving people a chance to be part of something. Jack couldn't meet her eyes. The memories rolled through his mind: laughter, awkward silences, the way they had been lost, how everything had seemed to shatter with a single choice. And now, here she was, offering a light that felt too bright for the shadows he was carrying. Jack, Thomas said, pulling him back to the present. What do you think? He could feel all eyes on him, including Angela's. The weight of old connections loomed heavy, and he realized the importance of this moment. I think we can all benefit from a chance to heal, he said slowly, forcing the words to take shape. Not just as friends, but as a community. And just as he spoke, a sudden silence enveloped them. A flicker of understanding passed between him and Angela. Did she know how much her presence rattled the delicate peace he had tried to find for himself? Before he could dwell on that, the bell jingled once more, breaking the tension and announcing another arrival. Jack's heart sank again. Who could it be this time? Another ghost from the past, or a hopeful spirit ready to join their mission? It was an unexpected figure, one that would change the dynamics of their gathering and possibly reshape everything they had just begun to build. But could one more complication tilt the fragile balance into chaos, or might it provide the push they all needed to confront their histories together? The door creaked open, and the aroma of fresh coffee wafted in, blending with the charged energy that hung in the cafe. Jack turned, his breath catching in his throat as he recognized the newcomer. It was Mark, a local entrepreneur known for his charm and impact on the community. His presence often commanded attention, and Jack couldn't shake the feeling that this particular visit would stir more than just the usual banter. Jack! Mark exclaimed, striding over with an easy confidence. I heard you were back in town. How's it going? He offered a handshake, his smile bright and familiar, yet Jack felt the weight of uncertainty growing. Hey, Mark. It's going. Jack's words felt clipped, the energy in the room shifting as he spoke. Mark's vibrant approach clashed with Jack's internal chaos. Good to hear. It's about time we caught up. I've got a few ideas I think you'd be perfect for. Mark's eyes glimmered with enthusiasm, but Jack's mind was racing. Did he really want to add another layer of complexity to his already tangled life? The laughter from Angela and Thomas faded into the background as Jack struggled to maintain his composure. He didn't want to be pulled away from the moment that had started with hope just before the unexpected arrivals. Desperation clawed at him as he tried to keep his focus. Let's sit, Mark said, clearly not sensing the tension. He gestured to another table, eager for a chat, but before Jack could respond, Angela cut in. Mark, is it? I'm Angela. So nice to meet more of the creative minds in our community. Her smile was radiant, and Jack cursed his own heart for still taking notice of her warmth. Likewise. I've heard a lot about you, Angela. Sounds like you're a moving force around here. There it was, the way he made connections effortlessly. Jack had always admired that about Mark. But he suddenly felt small beneath Mark's larger-than-life personality. Mia and Lily, with their keen instincts, sensed the charged undercurrents. They exchanged glances, and Jack saw the concern in Mia's eyes, as though she could physically feel the strain building. What's the meaning of this open house? Mark asked, pulling the attention back to the table. His curiosity was genuine, but Jack's heart sank again. Mark would undoubtedly add a layer of pressure to this fragile plan. It's about community, Lily replied, injecting enthusiasm into the discussion. We want to showcase local talent and give people a chance to feel included, despite, their pasts. Jack nodded, fingers tapping the table in a subconscious rhythm, his mind racing to dismiss the shadows in his heart. The delicate balance of hope and hurt crashed over him. Could they genuinely move forward, or would old wounds resurface with every new connection? Angela's gaze rested on him again, an unspoken question lingering in her eyes. Tension crackled in the air. Jack wanted to scream out, to let the emotions spill forth, but he held it in. Not here, not now. So, Jack, what do you really think? Mark asked. The table turned quiet, all eyes on him again. Suddenly, the door swung open again, and a gust of wind swept through the cafe, rattling the remnants of composure Jack clung to. He glanced up, heart pounding, nearly bracing himself for another unwelcome intrusion. Standing in the doorway, with an expression that suggested urgency and a little panic, was Sarah, Jack's younger sister. Uncertainty filled the air as she hesitated, scanning the room. What was happening? Why now? Jack felt the tension rise, ready to tip the scales into chaos. How would this unexpected visit shape the fragile connections they were trying to establish? More importantly, would this new arrival provide the catalyst they all needed to finally confront their intertwined pasts, or pull them farther apart? Jack's heart raced as Sarah stepped inside. For a moment, the cafe faded around him. What was she doing here? A mix of urgency and concern stretched across her features, and Jack's own worries sharpened anew. Sarah? He managed, rising from his seat as instinct drew him toward her. The noise of the cafe blurred into white noise. Mark was left mid-sentence, confusion evident on his face as he turned to watch the exchange. The warmth of the coffee shop turned cold as the air thickened with questions. Jack's mind flooded with possibilities, each one darker than the last. Jack, I need to speak with you now, Sarah said, urgency coloring her voice. Okay, but can't it wait? I'm in the middle of something. He glanced back at his friends, his voice trailing off. The words felt slippery in his mouth. He didn't want to offend Mark or disrupt the fragile energy Lily and Angela had been fostering, but Sarah's expression said not to ignore her plea. No. It can't wait, she insisted, her eyes pleading. They held a depth that spoke volumes. Something was wrong. Jack swallowed hard and motioned for her to join him outside. The door swung shut behind them, blocking out the vibrant clatter of conversation. He took a deep breath, his mind racing as they stood on the sidewalk, chills running down his spine as the brisk air filled his lungs. What is going on? He finally asked, his voice lowered, the concern etched in his brow. I didn't know how to reach you. Sarah rubbed her hands together, an anxious habit she had since childhood. Mom's not doing well. I thought you should know. The news struck Jack like a punch to the gut. His body went rigid as memories cascaded of laughter, arguments, and finally, silence. Is it bad? He managed, fighting to keep his voice even. Yeah. I think it might be time, she confessed. The quiver in her tone shattered the final threads of calm he had tried to hold on to. He stepped back, the world around him dimming, all chaos fading into muffled whispers. For years, Jack had avoided the grief associated with their mother's struggles. He thought he could outrun it by focusing on building a stable life for Sarah, but now, it felt like the very ground beneath him was crumbling. What do we do? Jack asked the question softly, almost desperately, feeling like a lost boy again. I thought maybe you could help figure it out, she murmured, her voice cracking. It wasn't just a question, it was a plea, a responsibility that felt heavier than any burden he had carried before. Jack rubbed the back of his neck, frustration bubbling up, battling against the uncertainty. Here he was, trying to forge a new beginning, only to be dragged back into the remnants of their past. And what about the cafe? Mark? Angela? Would everything he was trying to build come crashing down? As the wind howled around them, Jack felt his resolve splinter. Okay, let us figure this out together, he said. At that moment, he caught sight of Angela and Mark through the cafe window, their animated discussion illuminated by the warm glow inside. The sweetness of what they were planning felt out of reach now, overshadowed by his sister's distress. Jack, it's just I don't want to lose you too, Sarah whispered, her vulnerability hit him hard, tugging at a place deep within. Their lives were intertwined, steeped in history. Jack realized he had a choice to make, not just for himself, but for Sarah. As thoughts clashed in his mind, he could only think of one thing: would facing family truths help fortify the community they were trying to build, or would it pull them all apart? "Let us go back in," he said finally, each word steeped in resolve. "I need to talk to them." Jack followed Sarah back inside, the warmth enveloping him, but the weight of uncertainty hung in the air. What would the others think? How could he keep the delicate balance of dreams alive while confronting the realities of their past? The moment of truth awaited, and all he could do was hope that it wouldn't fracture the fragile connections he had begun to forge. But deep down, Jack felt that change was on the horizon, and it was going to demand more from him than he ever imagined. The cafe's warmth enveloped them as Jack and Sarah stepped back in, but the familiar buzz of conversations felt distant now. It was like walking into a movie where the plot had suddenly shifted, the stakes had changed, and everything felt more urgent. Mark caught Jack's eye, his brows knitting together in confusion. He stood up, concern written on his face, unsure whether to ask what was wrong or let Jack steer the ship. Angela and Lily exchanged glances, sensing the tension, and Jack's heart sank as he realized how much they all wanted to help, yet how little he was prepared to navigate this moment. "Jack." Mark's voice broke through the fog. "Is everything okay?" Jack hesitated. The weight of Sarah's news pressed on his chest, making it hard to breathe. He could feel Sarah's quiet reliance on him, her eyes wide as she awaited his choice. This wasn't just about their mother's illness, it was about their family's next steps, their future. "Not exactly," Jack finally replied, his voice thicker than he intended. He turned to face his sister, who nodded slightly, encouraging him. "Our mom, she's not doing well. Sarah just told me it might be time." Silence fell over the group, the air thickening with the unspoken emotions. Jack avoided looking at Mark's reaction, afraid of what he might see. Sympathy? Guilt? Concern? He didn't want any pity. He just wanted support, the kind that felt like a lifeline. Angela stepped forward, her voice soft yet steady. "Jack, I'm really sorry to hear that. Do you want us to help? We can figure something out." Faced with such kindness, Jack felt a swell of gratitude. But it also reminded him how close he was to the edge he was about to let the cracks in his life show to those he had just begun to trust. "Thank you, Angela. It's just complicated," he sighed, glancing at Sarah, who had her arms crossed tightly across her chest, as if trying to shield herself from the world. "We need to figure out what's next for her, and what it means for me and Sarah." Lily moved closer, her eyes soft, filled with understanding. "You're not alone in this, Jack. We'll help however we can, even if it just means keeping things running for you while you take care of your family." The promise in Lily's voice struck a chord, lighting a flicker of hope in Jack's chest. But that flicker quickly faded as he remembered the responsibilities still waiting for him there at the cafe: his new life, new friendships, the dreams they had started to build. How could he take care of all of it? Who was he kidding? "Yeah, I appreciate that really. But I don't want to burden you all with this," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Jack," Mark interjected, stepping closer, "you're not a burden. None of this is your fault. Family is tough, and I know that too well right now. We've all got your back, even when the winds change." Floating in those words, Jack felt a bit more anchored, but the storm inside him was far from calmed. Sarah nudged him slightly, and for the first time since their conversation started, a flicker of warmth returned. "Maybe we should sit down together," Sarah suggested, her voice steadier now. "Talk through what we can do, how everyone can help." Jack nodded slowly, taking a deep breath. This was going to take work. They'd have to confront raw emotions, memories tied to their past, and the future that felt so uncertain. The group settled around the table, a circle of support but also of vulnerability. Jack felt the words catch in his throat, but when he looked at Sarah, he realized they were in this together. No more hiding. No more running. He had to speak up. As he opened his mouth to share his thoughts, a loud crash echoed from the back of the cafe, an accidental collision that sent chairs tumbling. All eyes turned in that direction, the moment pausing abruptly, and Jack's pulse quickened. What if that crash symbolized more? What if it was a sign that everything they had been trying to piece together could come crashing down just as fast? What was that? Sarah blurted, her anxiety creeping back. Jack's heart raced again. The path ahead seemed paved with uncertainty, and now it felt like the universe was pushing them toward raw truths they couldn't ignore anymore. Could they all truly find the strength to face what lay ahead? He could feel the looming questions in the air as they turned to look together at the source of the crash, unsure whether it was about to shatter everything or spark a new beginning. The noise from the back of the cafe startled everyone, drawing their focus like a magnet. Jack's heart raced as he tried to parse the sudden shift from weighty emotions to confusion. He watched anxiously as the server, she seemed barely older than a kid, struggled to get her footing amid the mess of overturned chairs and scattered cups. Just a little accident, she called out, attempting to brush off the embarrassment. There was a nervous chuckle from her coworker, and for a brief moment, Jack felt a strange sense of relief wash over him. In the chaos of that moment, he realized they were all human, tangled in their own lives, trying to navigate old wounds and new beginnings. Mark broke the tension, grinning widely. Looks like someone needs a few more lessons in balancing trays. The lightness seemed to crack the heaviness clinging to them, a reminder of deeper connections forged through shared laughter. Jack couldn't help but smile at Mark's heroic attempt to lighten the mood. "Are you okay?" Sarah said, directing her concern toward the young server as she scrambled to right herself. "Yeah, just a bit clumsy," she replied, her cheeks pinking. "I just wanted to refill those drinks before the rush started." Jack felt the corner of his mouth twitch. It wasn't a grand answer like he was seeking to face his family's struggles, but he appreciated the little reminder life goes on. Sometimes it was the small things that buoyed the spirit, a sense of humor amid dark moments. As the group shared nervous laughter, Jack tuned back to the reality of their situation. He straightened himself, inhaling deeply, weighing the burgeoning sense of hope against the gravity of the impending decision they need to make as a family. The motivation to face their struggles flared again within him. "Okay," he said, his voice firmer now, "let us talk about what's next for Mom, and for us." He drew strength from everyone's presence. Slowly, he started mapping out his family's next steps, the possible treatments, the conversations they needed to have with doctors, and most importantly the time they had to spend together. It felt surreal saying it out loud, hearing it echo around the table. "I think we need to prioritize her comfort first," Sarah suggested, her eyes moved as she spoke. "Whatever happens with her health, we should make every last moment meaningful." Jack nodded, heart aching but steeled by his sister's insight. He couldn't ignore the struggles ahead, the heartache, the pain, but maybe there was room for creating memories, too. They spent the next hour brainstorming practical ideas and heartfelt gestures. They laughed over stories of their childhood, little moments with their mom that influenced who they were today. A warmth spread in the circle, transforming the initially tense atmosphere into one of unity and resolve. But as they immersed themselves in recollections, Jack felt a weight shift in his chest. He realized how fragile the balance between love and loss was, how memories blurred the lines between comfort and sorrow. Would those memories be enough to sustain them? Would grief overshadow laughter, or bend time so that joy and pain could coexist? A sudden ding from the cafe door chimed as a family with small children bustled in, instantly filling the room with lively chatter and contagious energy. Jack looked over, watching the kids spill their giggles, unaware of the turbulence that existed just beyond their bubble. A pang of longing struck him. He wished for this kind of innocence, untouched by reality's sharp edges. What happens if, Jack began, feeling the anxious energy creep back as he gazed at the doorway, searching for clarity, if we lose her? The question hung in the air, heavy and fraught. Jack felt the gravity of it. Would they be all right? Would they find a way to carry forward together, even through the toughest of times? Tension thickened again, as the laughter from the children faded into silence. Jack could see the worry on Sarah's face, but there was an unspoken resolve behind her eyes. Before anyone could respond, the young server wandered back into the room with a fresh pot of coffee, her energy bold and bright. "Hope I'm not interrupting. Just wanted to make sure both of you got your favorites, to lift the mood." Jack felt a flicker of appreciation for the way moments intertwined, immersed in sadness but also invigorated by hope. Maybe together, they could shape what lay ahead. But could they? As Jack's gaze met Sarah's, he felt a question lurking in the shadows. Did they have the strength to guide their family through this storm together? Then, with a sudden crashing sound that shattered his thoughts, a chair fell again and Jack braced himself for whatever revelation awaited on the other side. Jack's heart jolted as the chair hit the floor, the sound loud and jarring, like an alarm siren cutting through an already thick silence. For a split second, he imagined the worst, something catastrophic, a sign that maybe they were losing control. But as he turned to look, he saw the young server standing wide-eyed, hands clutching the coffee pot tight as if it were a lifeline. "Sorry," she exclaimed, her face turning crimson. "I promise I'm not this clumsy all the time." Mark chuckled, trying to soothe her embarrassment. "Hey, we've all been there. Life is an adventure, right?" His warm tone helped lighten the mood again, which felt like an anchor amidst the storm Jack was bracing for. Jack looked around the table. Sarah, still pensive, was staring at the scattered remnants of their earlier chatter. It struck him just how delicate everything was, how every laugh and every nervous joke masked the looming shadows they all saw but could hardly confront. But instead of dwelling on doubt, he took a deep breath, focusing instead on her brave smile, the way she tried to shake off the awkwardness. It reminded him that everyone has their struggles, no matter how they present themselves. "Can I get everyone something else?" asked the server, her voice upbeat now, though Jack could still hear a tremor beneath it. "Just the coffee is perfect for now," he replied, the words slipping out before he fully thought them through. He was grateful for her presence, even as a distraction. Jack felt a burgeoning thought in his mind: they could talk about loss and heartache forever, or they could embrace the fleeting moments that emerged even amid the greatest turmoil. Perhaps it didn't matter what happened next, what mattered was how they walked through this together, how they weathered storms while still holding hands and sharing joy. Suddenly, he understood that grief didn't have to overshadow life's vibrancy. Instead, it could blend with joy, creating a palette of experiences that told the story of love. "So what is the plan for Mom's comfort?" Jack asked, directing attention back to the topic they had just left behind. "Let us create a list of her favorite things," Sarah suggested, her voice steadier now. "We need to fill her days with memories, no matter how small." Jack nodded, feeling a kind of warmth spread from his chest to his fingertips. They could make each moment count, transforming their collective pain into something beautiful. Sharing familiar aromas of freshly baked cookies, listening to her favorite songs, or even curling up together to watch old movies, these small gestures could mean the world. The server returned with their coffee, and as she poured, Jack found himself searching for words to fill the deep ache in his chest. What was left unsaid hung heavily. What if that's not enough? He didn't want to voice the fear, but it slipped out, mingling with the comforting smell of coffee. "Then we keep trying," Mark answered, his tone firm. "It's not about perfection. It's about showing up and loving her the best we can. We will be there for each other." Those words settled in Jack's heart. Perhaps love, in its purest form, was about the little reminders, the daily choices to be present. As they ventured deeper into plans, laughter braided through stories. Generations of life danced in their memories, a bittersweet soundtrack to their current reality. Jack could almost hear their mom's laughter echoing in the warmth of the cafe, a harmonious note that blended effortlessly with the chaos around them. But just as they began to forge a path, a new sound broke the air: the sharp ring of Jack's phone. He glanced at the screen and felt a knot twist in his stomach. "Excuse me," he said, stepping aside, heart racing. What if it was a call about his mom? What new challenges awaited him, and could they be ready? Jack swiped to answer, tension swirling in his gut. Outside, the world continued, unaware of the storm brewing within their tiny circle. The cafe became a sanctuary, offering comfort amid uncertainty. "Hello." Jack's voice trembled slightly as he pressed the phone to his ear, bracing for whatever came next. What news awaited him on the other end? "Jack." The voice on the other end crackled with urgency, immediately putting his heart in a vice. It was his older brother, Ethan, and he could hear the gravity weighing on every word. "I just heard from Sarah." "Is it true? Mom's health has taken a turn." Jack's breath caught in his throat. "Yeah, she's really not doing well." The reality hit, like a punch to the gut he hadn't seen coming. "We're trying to figure out what's next for her." Ethan paused for what felt like an eternity. "I'm on my way to you. We need to talk as a family. We can't keep avoiding this." The determination in Ethan's voice reminded Jack of their childhood, the way they had always tackled life side by side. It ignited a flicker of hope. "Okay," Jack managed, wiping a bead of sweat from his forehead with the back of his hand. "See you soon." He hung up and turned back to the cafe, his family and friends still huddled around the table, laughter spilling over like coffee from an unsteady hand. "Everything okay?" Mark asked, his brow furrowing with concern. Jack took a deep breath, glancing around the table, meeting eyes that held warmth, understanding, and a shared pain. "Ethan's coming. We need to prepare for a family conversation." The mood shifted, like a gust of wind suddenly turning cold. "What are you thinking?" Mia asked gently, her voice like a soft blanket wrapping around his racing thoughts. "I guess we just need to figure out what Mom really wants. We need to come together, as a family." Jack felt the urgency of his decision echo in his chest. Despite the weight of it all, he felt lighter somehow, supported by those around him. This was a pivotal moment. Lily's confidence pushed through with a tremor of warmth. "Whatever happens, Jack, we're all in this together. We'll help you through it. Just like we promised." There was strength in her eyes, a beautiful reminder of what they had created together. Jack nodded and felt the corners of his mouth twitching upward. For the first time in a long while, he sensed a collective power binding them, bolstering their shared journey and crossing the thresholds of fear. Ethan arrived minutes later, barging through the cafe door, a whirlwind of energy. "What's this I hear about our mother?" he said, scanning the calm chaos as he settled down. Jack quickly filled him in on the latest updates, punctuating his words with shared emotions from the table around them. One by one, they opened their hearts, taking turns to share memories, unearthing laughter and tears like buried treasures. As they spoke, the fear that had loomed over them began to transform into a sense of purpose, a commitment to navigate the choppy waters ahead. Hand in hand, the cafe buzzed with a new life, where sorrow mixed with determination. They all discussed small ways to show Mom love amidst the uncertainty. Classic movies, her favorite meals, storytelling nights, and even singing her favorite songs. Each idea seemed to sculpt a stronger bond between them. Jack stopped, feeling the weight he had carried for so long slipping away. "We will wrap her in love until the very end," he vowed, his voice breaking as tears escaped. He wasn't just speaking to Ethan, the words were an oath to Mia, Lily, and everyone in the cafe, even the memories of laughter from the past. And as they moved forward, the weight of loss felt lighter because they remembered, love wouldn't erase their challenges, but it would guide them through every storm, ensuring their family continued to stand tall, together. When the phone rang again, it shattered the calm, but this time, Jack answered it without trepidation. It was a local hospice, wanting to share resources for their mother's care. It was an opportunity to explore a way to help her live her best in the final chapters of her life. "Thank you for listening," Jack said, voice shaking slightly with newfound courage. "We'd love to know more." As he hung up, he turned back to his family, their eyes all wide with understanding. There was a collective resolve breathing through the cafe, an electric charge promising healing and hope amidst the transition. Jack smiled wide then, his heart swelling with gratitude as he glanced across the table. They had come together, buoyed by connection, compassion, and the promise of perseverance. They were a family, no matter how complicated it all felt, ready to face life's darkest moments, one coffee cup, one shared story, one heartbeat at a time. Together, they would rise above uncertainty, hand in hand. And as the sun set beyond Hilltop Cafe, it draped the room in a warm glow, casting them all as warriors in their own right, armed with love and family beyond fear. Now this is your moment. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss our next exclusive stories. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep this community alive. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this transformation. You need to show your support, now more than ever.